Good evening. Welcome to my channel. My name is David Okon. Actually, good morning, early morning. We are in the UK. It is Saturday. Thank you for everybody who have been helping me to subscribing to my channel, sharing with family and friends, and also leaving a comment, joining in the conversation. We are doing well. We are 10 months into this program, and we have been talking about the cost of living as a crisis. And the cost of living as a crisis is caused by capitalism. Capitalism is an economic system which operates now globally, is attached with the Western empires in the past, the recent past, and also in the contemporary. It is actually said to be the current system of the economy, which is going to go on until the end of the age, as it were, because capitalism is a system under the globalized economy. The globalized world is matured, is complete. That is why now you see across the globe, every country, every continent, there is a marketized system. The privatization system, the closing down of the public sector. And this is been happening beginning in the Western world politically. And this is actually precisely the cause of the cost of living as a crisis. If it was not for the closure of the public sector, there wouldn't be the cost of living as a crisis. This will continue because the government now, as a state of a country globally, including in South Africa, we have been looking at Africa, now I'm looking at South Africa. What happens in the West, in the developed world, happening in the continent of Africa and also in South Africa. The closure of the public sector, which means the public sector providing public service has been privatized, being bought by multimillionaires who live across the globe. There are few who have millionaires and billionaires, very few who now buy nations. Some of them even buying islands across the globe and owning them privately, including institutions of healthcare, employment, education, public transport, housing, you name the lot, energy, utilities, generally energy, electricity, and water. I think I've mentioned food already. All these, including clothing, what you wear, and all the other things you depend on as of necessity, are now being marketized, it is commercialized, and that is creating the cost of living crisis. The culture of capitalism, when the capitalists, the multimillionaires, and the manupillionaires, the small and medium businesses who are running private companies, their culture and customs is to make money and make profit and not really do welfare. So governments of the world are either dishonest or ignorant to sell what are basic necessities like food, energy, and water, in addition to health facilities, schools, housing, basic things people of the world depend on. And this is actually producing poor class of people who work for living, the 90 to 95% of the population working for living. And my purpose is to get this message out for people to be aware, because I believe if you know what problem you face, then you are actually equipped to solve such a problem. And that is my mission on this program. Watch this video, subscribe if you haven't subscribed to this channel, and share with family and friends, and also leave comments and watch the videos And the best way to conduct your life without me advising you is to use your brains. Go to school in nursery as a child, your parents taking you to school, and you grow up going through the preliminaries and joining the advanced levels of learning in education, and you retire from there, you qualify, get your degree, and you join the job market. There you are actually trained to do professional work. Your brain has always been your guide, is your light, and this is what these videos I'm producing. If you watch this video, watch this alongside the rest of the videos which I've been producing consistently about the cost of living crisis. But it is more than the cost of living crisis. At face value, it may look like I'm talking about the cost of living crisis only, but more importantly, I'm trying to explain the complexities involving the economy of the globe, and also topics which are actually very complex, such as globalization and like institutions including the United Nations, but also looking at some continents. I've looked at Africa, I look at the countries like the United Kingdom, I looked at Kenya, I look at regions like East Africa, I look at the European Union as a region, as a part of the global infrastructure in Europe, and I look at the credit crunch in America. If you watch these videos, this is first one, I've been linking all this to the cost of living crisis, because to my mind, cost of living is principally an income issue, and income relates to poverty. If you work for a living, if you're not a multimillionaire, then you are actually adversely affected. I've been repeating this point over and again, and going forward, to the extent that I'm discussing the cost of living crisis, I'll be mentioning this, and maybe in the future I will be doing some other projects with different topics. But it is not really a mystery that a lot of things are actually related to cost. If you're traveling on holiday, you're buying whatever you're buying, there is always a cost of living involved. So it is really interesting, exciting topic. It's about time, it's an opportunity for you to start exercising your mind to think development, think culture, like I say consistently, because I believe progress is human progress in our society is composed of development and also culture. Culture is actually respect, valuing humanity more than valuing things. Because when we talk of development, we talk about things like human capital. It's a thing, because we use our knowledge to grow the economy and to develop different sectors. But when we talk of humanity, when we talk of culture, we're talking about the value of people. That things, development is for people, it's not for development. So if you grow your business, if you become a multimillionaire and a multi-billionaire, your happiness and your peace is because of valuing humanity. I have said it over and again that we are now in a situation where we have lost track of our purposes, which is actually valuing humanity first. Because your best friends to make you happy are humans. You may have pets, you may have cats, dogs, you may have plenty of money, but if you don't have good friends, you're going to be sad, including multimillionaires and multi-billionaires. And this is a strong argument, cultural argument, which is actually, to my mind, is the fundamental. We need to pay attention to bring peace, joy, and harmony in the world, and to make us happy as people. And this I have also repeated, because as people we are so rich in varieties, we are creative, we grow, we create wealth, we design machines, we create technologies, we are amazing, and that we should keep it that way. But development is amazing, we should keep it that way. We should keep on creating more wealth. Running capitalism is a good thing, as long as the right people are actually the ones managing capitalism. And the right people to manage capitalism are the ones who should value humanity, to know that the brains we have, the learning infrastructure we have, the books, the technology, the computer, and also our capacity to focus on one thing or another. If we begin to focus on humanity as a priority, if we focus on development to support humanity, then we begin to change the way we behave. We begin to change the way we pursue peace. We begin to produce happiness and putting more relevant meaning into our life. So let us look at the demographics of South Africa, and we have been looking at South Africa and help us to view the other, to watch the other videos, looking at the population density in South Africa, rating between 1 per square kilometer, 1 to 3 square kilometer, 3 to 10 per kilometer, and so on and so forth. South Africa is a nation of about 62 million as of 2022, people of diverse origins, cultures, languages, and religion. The last census was held in 1922, with estimates produced on an annual basis. According to the United Nations World Population Prospect, South Africa's total population was 55.3 million in 2015, compared to only 13.6 million in 1950. South Africa is home to an estimated 5 million illegal immigrants, including some 3 million Zimbabweans. A series of anti-immigrant riots occurred beginning in May 2008. Looking at the dynamics of South Africa, to see that South Africa is a normal country. If managed properly, there should not be cost of living crisis. To do a review of this material, the purpose is to portray South Africa rather, in its essence, to show that with the right management, with the right mindset, with the right managing of capitalism, there should be no cost of living crisis in South Africa, and South Africa is comparable to the rest of the world. If you watch the rest of my videos, this has been the tone of my discussing cost of living in relation to other factors of society. Statistics of South Africa ask people to describe themselves in the census in terms of 5 racial population groups. The 2022 census figures for 3 groups were Black African at 81.4%, Colored at 8.2%, White at 7.3%, Indian or Asian at 2.7%, and other unspecified at 0.5%. The first census in 1911 showed that whites made up 22% of the population. These are declined to 16% in 1970. South Africa holds the size of a refugee and asylum seekers population. According to the World Refugee Survey 2008 published by the U.S. Committee for Refugees and Immigrants, this population numbered approximately 144,700 in 2007. So this is South Africa, which is actually what happened in South Africa is similar to what happened around the world. That's why I'm actually reviewing this material on South Africa. But my main aim is to show that the world is enough. The people, the progress we have made, the technology, the systems, the wealth is enough for South Africans to get out of poverty. Not necessarily all of them becoming rich, because that is a different discussion. What my aim is actually to demonstrate through reviewing this material, to show that everywhere you go in the world, just by travel across the globe, looking at this material to review them, is to demonstrate that with the political will, the right approach by the state, people of the world, all of them, should get out of poverty, and that would actually solve the problem with the cost of living crisis at an organic at the macro level, if you like, to use that terminology. South Africa hosts sizable refugee and asylum seeker population. According to the World Refugee Survey 2008 published by the U.S. Committee on Refugees and Immigrants, these population numbered approximately 144,700 in 2007. Groups of refugees and asylum seekers numbering over 10,000 included people from Zimbabwe, 48,400, the DRC, 24,800, and Somalia, 12,900 people. These populations mainly live in Johannesburg, Pretoria, Durban, Cape Town, and Port Elizabeth. Let us look at languages of South Africa. There are different types of people in South Africa, therefore the languages will also vary. South Africa has 12 official languages, and Zulu, Xhosa, Afrikaans, English, Pedi, Iswana, Southern Sotho, Songa, Swazi, Venda, and Southern Ndebele in order of first language speakers, as well as South African Sign Language, which was recognized as an official language in 2023. In this regard, it is fourth only to Bolivia, India, and Zimbabwe in number. While all the languages are formally equal, some languages are spoken more than others. According to the 2022 census, the three most spoken first languages are Zulu, 24.4%, Xhosa, 16.6%, Afrikaans, 10.6%. Although English is recognized as the language of commerce and science, it is only the fifth most common home language, that of only 8.7% of South Africans in 2022. Nevertheless, it has become the de facto lingua franca of the nation. Estimate based on the 1991 census suggests just under half of South Africans who speak English. It is the second most commonly spoken language outside the household after Zulu. Numerous other languages are spoken or were widely used previously, including Fanangalo, Kohi, Lobedu, Nama, Northern Ndebele, and Pusi. Now, if you are planning to travel in South Africa, which is actually in Africa, tourism is a major source of income in foreign earning, and these are some of the information you would be interested to know. That you can use a common language like English and other widely spoken languages. You can survive in a normal way, and apart from the cost of living, which may prevent you from going to South Africa, you should be actually going to South Africa. Many of the official languages of the San and the Kokoe peoples contain regional dialects stretching northward into Namibia and Botswana and elsewhere. These people who are a physically distinct population from the Bantu people who make up most of the black Africans in South Africa have their own cultural identity based on their number hunter-gatherer societies. They have been marginalized to a great extent, and the remainder of their languages are in danger of becoming extinct. So there are people in South Africa, it's a normal country in Africa. This is a story of Africa. And if you watch this video with the rest of the series on South Africa, then you can connect them to form logic as to why I'm actually trying to talk about South Africa in terms of exposing South Africa as a country with all the system of governance, with all the resources available, to make you understand that the cost of living crisis shouldn't be there except for the type of capitalism practiced across the globe, which also is practiced in South Africa. Well, and there's an extremism in practicing the system, the process, and also being caused by an extreme situation of closing down the public sector because of the rampaging produced by privatization. And this, I have repeated, that is the cause of the cost of living wherever it exists. And I will be reminding us while we are reviewing this material why South Africans may also speak European languages, including Italian. Portuguese also spoken by Black Angolans, the Mozambican, Dutch, German, and Greek, while some Indian, South Africans, and more recent migrants from South Asia speak Indian languages such as Gujarati, Hindi, Tamil, Telugu, and Urdu. South Africa is your typical tourism resort, and with the best of the weathers and all the conveniences. It's a multiculturalism, so it's a normal country. We should have a more normal functioning, which it does, create wealth, practice capitalism. Unfortunately, the cost of living crisis is also current now. For the same reason it requires as well. That's why I'm trying to remind us that, certain things, crisis can be avoided if we change the way we manage public sector, producing public service to get the majority of the population in every country out of poverty. So we are looking at religion in South Africa, and look at Protestant 73.2%, and people without religion 14.9%, Catholicism 7.4%, Islam 1.7%, Hinduism 1.1%, and other faiths are actually 1.7%. According to the 2001 census, Christians accounted for 79.8% of the population, with the majority of them being members. Whereas Protestant denominations broadly defined to include syncretic African-initiated churches and a minority of Roman Catholics and other Christians. Faith is the basis of culture, society. Every system of society is based on religion, so religion is very important in South Africa. It helps bring people together, also it brings support, and we can use that to improve on our culture, value humanity. It focuses on values which actually support humanity. This Christian category includes Zion Christians 11%, Pentecostal Charismatic 8.2%, Roman Catholic 7.1%, Methodist 6.8%, Dutch Reformed 6.7%, Anglican 3.8%. Members of remaining Christian churches accounted for another 36% of the population. Muslims accounted for 1.5% of the population, into 1.2%, and traditional African religion 0.3%, and Judaism 0.2%. Africa is a continent under siege in that context because it has actually lost part of its social and cultural identity due to colonialism, which colonialism was actually set in Africa to promote capitalism and promote marketization, which is now carrying on, which is also incidentally causing the Afro-Libyan crisis. African-initiated churches formed the largest of the Christian groups. It was believed that many of the persons who claim no affiliation with many organized religions adhere to traditional African religion. There are an estimated 200,000 traditional healers, and up to 60% of the South African consultants consult these healers, generally called Sangoma Divina or Inyanga Herbalists. These healers use a combination of ancestral spiritual belief and a belief in the spiritual and medicinal properties of local fauna, flora, and fungi, commonly known as medicine, to facilitate healing in plants. Many people are syncretic religious practices combining Christian and indigenous influences. If you watch the rest, my people, the characteristic now I'm describing in South Africa is common to any country of the world, because these are actually factors of society which we need to be aware of, because all are actually factors formulating to create a society, especially they all revolve around the economic and political infrastructure, which is capitalism and also the market economic system and privatization. And some of these religious groups are now closing down because some of them were actually being funded publicly. Others are actually now operating like private businesses. So these are important information. They may look remote, but because they are all connected to money and the economy, it's important to remember to give you a broader perspective, the problem associated with the economy, with capitalism, which is creating the cost of living crisis. That is how to link this information. They are not there. I'm not mentioning them in a vacuum. They are not redundant. They are related to wealth. They are related to organization. They are related to wealth creation or lack thereof, which is actually because of the population. They are resources of society, which, if lacking, create the cost of living crisis. As we see now, and the cost of living crisis, if we don't deal with it, is going to get more worse and worse, because public sector is closing. Whatever is left, if you are in the developed world, if you are not in the developed world, use it or lose it. Because see, if we don't change the way we operate capitalism, what is going to happen? The public sector has already closed down, unless the government reverses trend to change direction, to actually bring public sector back to provide public services. Then for the 90 to 95% who work for a living, who will inevitably lose their jobs because of technology and other structural changes, such as the economy will be shutting down anyway. The private sector will also be shutting down, because if the rest of the population are excluded from wealth, then they will have no money to buy anything. Now, the purpose of private sector is to close, is to make money. And if those who make money in the world, the people who have access to wealth, are only 10 to 15%, then the entire economy of the globe is going to shut down, leaving only 10 and 15% capacity to provide the needs of the few, which is actually the wealthy millionaires and multi-billionaires. If you are not millionaires and billionaires, in the next 50 to 100 years, you will be excluded from the economy beginning now. Because if the public sector closes, government are going to start sending people who have no jobs, who have no income, who are sick, who are actually elderly, children, disabled people. These are going to be sent into concentration camps. It is not happening during warfare. We see it in the Middle East, in the Sudan, Niger, in Ukraine. When there is war or natural disaster, people are being taken into concentration camps. They are not calling it concentration camp, but that is what it is. Some people actually are going to remain there forever. It's happening in Africa, where there is conflict or there is a natural disaster like COVID-19, Ebola in Africa, or any of those disasters which are actually going to increase nature, also bringing disasters like flooding, like extreme heat. People will be dying of natural disasters. They will be sent into concentration camps because the government will not be there to help them. And this will either be sent there to die, or some good people wealthy people may feed them, because people need to have food wherever you send them. But for now, there will be some sense of life for people who are excluded from the economy. But more and more, you're going to start seeing people going into concentration camps. And when people go there, people will be dying of diseases and overcrowding, And recently in the UK, the government have been sending people into concentration camp already. They don't call it concentration camp, but it's the beginning. There is a shutdown in one place. More people who cannot afford energy costs now are being sent to go into public library, into churches, into community centers. It's a concentration camps. There are government facilities, but they're also closing down. There is food bank, there is fuel bank now being set up to provide food and energy for people. But the quality of food there are actually very basic and very terrible. And they are not there now because the government is funding it, but this funding are going to shut down. Food banks will shut down. Energy banks will shut down. The private companies producing food and energy are going to shut down as well because poor people will be losing their jobs and they won't be able to buy food and energy, and they're going to. So these big companies, supermarkets will be closing down because they will not be able to make money, and the government will also shut down, and society will shut down, and only leave a little, a fraction, maybe a quarter of capacity. We're talking about beginning now into the future, maybe 50 years, 100 years, 200 years. You will see society being, people who cannot afford to buy something are going to be sent into concentration camps, and they're going to die there. If we don't change, this will happen. It's happening now. People are now dying in their homes because of extreme weather. Either the temperatures are very too hot, the temperatures are too cold, there is flooding, there is fire burning houses, and their emergency services are shut down because of the public sector being shut down. Only a little is, the less and less are going to be left for the super rich to access it, to the rest of the population are going to be excluded. This is because of policymakers and people in power losing, and also people who are not in power. Normally, we as a society, we are losing sight of the value of humanity. We look at people as other people, because if we could see them as humans, we were going to care about them even if we are rich or poor. But because we care about money, we care about television, we care about mobile phone, we care about our dogs and cats more than we care about people. As a society, we are dying unless we are culturally re-educated, and then we begin to use resources to support humanity. We, even including poor people, will be neglecting themselves, valuing money more than themselves. Some people are going to stop eating to save money, or save, stop, looking after themselves. Some of them will go onto the street because they want to save money. You don't look after yourself, you're going to die. Everybody dies, but we should not die before our time. This is what I'm saying. We need to really learn cultural economy, valuing humanity more than we are doing now. We need to change, and we need to live in hope. I know so many things happen in life, but there is hope for us because of many reasons. We are humans, we will always find solution to problems. Right now, scientists are doing research, looking for solutions to prevent aging. If aging is prevented, which it will, because whatever we set out to do, we are going to achieve. Scientists are working day and night to slow down or even stop aging, and I believe this will be achieved maybe within 100 years, 200 years, but more than that. I think aging will also be reversed. If you are 80 years, you start stop aging, and this is like science fiction, but every great sciences began with science fiction. They are working on it now, and I don't have the details. Leave a comment below if you have details. Subscribe to this channel if you haven't subscribed. Support this channel, and I'm trying to explain what is the potential, why we should have hope. And I believe that in the future, maybe 1,000 years to come, 2,000 years to come, scientists still alive will find means of bringing people to life, people who have died in the past will be brought back to life. Because technology has the power to create even in infinity in terms of resources. That can be done. There is now synthetic soil being produced. They are using it in spaces. It's white. It looks white. It looks like a snow. It's synthetic soil. In China now you got a supermarket store which are actually garden, the producing crop without soil. That's the advancement we are making as humanity in terms of development. That shows the shine of hope. Do not give up on your life, whether you're about to die tomorrow. There is hope, even for the future. There are your ancestors, the human ancestor will bring you back to life even if you die. Scientists have said humans die accidentally. We are designed by nature not to die. Our body perish. We grow old by accident, by malfunction. Our body is malfunctioning. That's why they are trying to fix it now. This is not science fiction. It is fact. Go online, do a research, and leave a comment below. Bring more information so that we carry on with the conversation. The reason I'm mentioning this awkward information is I want us to be in hope. Let us live in hope. To avoid me talking like this, I'm actually talking fiction or mentioning some fantasy, but this is actually reported on the main media. If you look for this information, you'll find them. The BBC and all these main media are reporting this. These are scientific information, a factor of research. The artificial intelligence, you know about that. There is 3D printer, nanotechnology, you know about that. There are advancement in computing and all this, you know about that. You see, and there is hope for humanity. Humanity cannot fail. We always succeed because we have the brain, we have the capacity, we are highly valued, and we need ourselves to develop. So we should stop abusing our own life, whether we are poor or rich. We need to really value our life. This is why I'm talking about the cost of living crisis. Not because I want to talk about the cost of living crisis, but because the cost of living gives me an opportunity to look at other aspects of life. At the philosophical level, at the developmental level, at political, at environmental level, at social level, cultural level. It's of so important factors. It's a good opportunity for me to talk about this thing because I believe knowledge is really important. Knowledge is life. Learning is really the spirit of the spring of life. You keep growing, you keep evolving. And also relationships. You need to really have special people in your life. You need to visit friends, family and friends, have a laugh, have a party, and work as hard as possible. If you have opportunity, access wealth, be rich, get out of poverty, be rich. There is always a way. Where there's a will, there is always a way. There's no need to be desperate. We need to really look forward, and if you work hard, make sure to share your wealth with other people. Be culturally educated. Share your wealth with the rest of the world, and they share their wealth with you. Share your time with other people. They share their time with you, and you begin to live peacefully, respectfully, and you begin to bring peace. Peace brings happiness. This has always been my central argument, at least referencing this argument in something I have learned to called cultural economy. And I'm so grateful that you have been with me up to this period. And please subscribe to this channel, support it, and we are doing well. We are having steady growth, and they fluctuate up and down, and we are doing well. We are 10 months into this program. This channel was created in 2012, but we stayed dormant until last year in December. We are almost 1 year, and I'm so grateful for everybody who have stood with me, who have actually given comments, even in the middle of a crisis which is now pressing many people across the globe. We will overcome. We are going to address this. We are going to work together and really solve problems such as the cost of living crisis, COVID-19, and different wars in Ukraine. We are humans. We will always solve this problem when we work together, when we begin to think correctly involving humanity, knowing that we can do anything we set out to do. This is a good report for humanity. Let us work together and do whatever you can. Be happy and be with your friends and family. Even if you are alone, do something you enjoy doing. Life is a good thing. And I know there are so many challenges, and we will overcome it in this age or in the age to come. Let us go back to review what we are reviewing in South Africa, and the purpose for looking at South Africa is to demonstrate that what happened in South Africa happens in other parts of the world. South Africa and Africa as a continent overall is the same, quite similar to what you find anywhere else in the world. We are a globalized world, and a lot of you may be wanting to travel to Africa and see how people live there and learn a thing or two about humanity and about development, the nature of development, the nature of livelihood in Africa. So we are still looking at the way people believe in Africa by way of faith, like religion. This is what the British took and the Arabs took to Africa. Africa south of Sahara. South Africa included these are foreign faiths. South African Muslims comprise mainly Coloureds and Indians. They have been joined by black or white South African converts as well as those from other parts of Africa. So religion is a force for good. People bring people together. South African Muslims describe their faith as the fastest growing religion of conversion in the country, with the number of black Muslims growing sixfold from 12,000 in 1991 to 74,700 in 2004. There is a substantial Jewish population descended from European Jews who arrived as a minority among other European settlers. These populations peaked in the 1970s at 120,000 to only around 67,000 remain today, and the race having immigrated mostly to Israel. Even so, these numbers make the Jewish community in South Africa the 12th largest in the world. That is impressive. Let's look at education in South Africa. Looking at universities such as the University Cape Town, the University of Cape Town, and the adult literacy rate in 2007 was 88.7%. Impressive. South Africa has a three-tier system of education, starting with primary school, followed by high school and tertiary education in the form of academic universities and universities of technology. Learners have 12 years of formal schooling from grade 1 to 12. Grade R or grade 0 is a pre-primary foundation year. Primary school spans the first 7 years of schooling. High school education spans further 5 years. The National Senior Certificate Examination takes place at the end of grade 12 and is necessary for tertiary studies at the South African University. Public universities are divided into three types: a traditional university, which are theoretically oriented university degrees, universities of technology, formerly called technicons, which are vocationally oriented diplomas and degrees, and comprehensive universities, which offer both types of qualification. There are 23 public universities in South Africa, 11 traditional universities, 6 universities of technology, and 6 comprehensive universities. Under apartheid, schools for black people were subject to discrimination through inadequate funding and a separate syllabus called Bantu education, which only taught skills sufficient to work as laborers. If you look at the rest of my video, you will look at apartheid in South Africa, one of the most evil systems, which actually characteristic of capitalism, which is actually concentrated wealth, the whole wealth of South Africa in the hands of white minority. And that is now being repeated, unfortunately, which is actually something which is going to cause a lot of suffering. But I would say, if we are not careful with capitalism, if we weaponize it by ignorance, we could cause the cost. We could cause the, we could cause the extinction of humanity. And I don't say this lightly, because if we don't value our life, what else are we going to value? In 2004, South Africa started reforming its tertiary education system, merging and incorporating small universities into larger institutions and renaming the old tertiary education institution university. By 2015, 1.4 million students in higher education have been aided by a financial aid scheme which was promulgated in 1999. Look at the healthcare system in South Africa, and all these factors are actually based, in my opinion, provided by the public sector. Every time the public sector is closed down, healthcare and education, and as well as other cultural and environmental institutions and processes suffer, which actually create factors such as the cost of living crisis. Looking at Tygerberg Hospital in Parow, Cape Town, according to the South African Institute of Race Relations, the life expectancy in 2009 was 71 years for a white South African and 48 years for a black South African. Now, this is evidence that, segregation, inequality can kill people, such as we have seen in South Africa. Black people only live on average for 48 years. Their white counterparts live for 71 years, because you see, in South Africa, because of apartheid, wealth was concentrated in the hands of the few and taken away from the black minorities' hands, and leaving some of the most poorest people on earth being black of South Africa, leading to their death. And so my claim to say capitalism, an extreme version which neglects the public sector, which actually our poor people, we were the majority under capitalism, if the system persists where the majority of the world population are excluded from wealth, the poor people are going to die. And this is evident in this information found in South Africa, which was actually the promoter of segregation based on race. Now, the segregation under modern capitalism is mainly based on class, the poor versus the rich. The poor are lacking access to wealth, the rich are taking everything. Such is occurred under apartheid in racism, because both are segregation, both are discrimination on the basis of class for under capitalism around the world. But in South Africa, this featured because of mainly racism. So the healthcare spending in the country is about 9% of GDP. About 84% of the population depends on the public healthcare system, which is beset with chronic human resources shortages and limited resources. About 20% of the population use private healthcare. Only 16% of the population are covered by medical aid schemes, and the rest pay for private care out of pocket, although in hospital-only plans. The three dominant hospital groups, Mediclinic, Life Healthcare, and Netcare, together control 75% of the private hospital market. Hospitals should not be privatized at all. I'll say this over and again. This is one of the gross mistakes by governments of the world, are privatizing public services, including healthcare, including education, including public transport, including food and energy, including housing, including employment, because employment should be managed by the government. The government should support small medium businesses, and in many ways support big businesses by giving accurate advice or even supporting them in terms of law, to regulate them to actually increase the level of minimum wage and good condition of pay, because employment is the most important form of welfare in a country. And when it is disrupted, when capitalism runs riot to abuse employees, paying them less and taxing them more, and also in terms direct and indirect taxation, and impoverishing employees, people who work for living, then you get the cost of living crisis. Look at HIV and AIDS incident in South Africa. Life expectancy in select Southern African countries 1950 to 2009, HIV and AIDS has caused a fall in life expectancy. According to the 2015 United Medical Report, South Africa has estimated 7 million people who are living in HIV, and are more than any other country in the world. In 2018, HIV prevalence and percentages of people living with HIV among adults 15 to 49 years was actually 20.4%, and in the same year, 21,000 people died from an AIDS-related disease. In a 2008 study revealed that HIV/AIDS infection is distinctly divided among racial lines. 13.6% of blacks are HIV positive, whereas only 0.3% of whites have the virus. So you see, poverty is the mother of all evil, is the mother of all wickedness, and capitalism is the author of the worst form of poverty among the majority of the population globally. And that's why I say, if we don't actually bring back the public sector to provide public service, 95% of the population are going to die more and more, and in 100 years to 200 years they will go extinct because of violence, because of ignorance, because of failing to value humanity. The remaining rich will also die. So humanity are about to go extinct because of capitalism. You may not believe me, you may believe it, but you will soon. Thank you for watching my video this far. If you have done so, subscribe to my channel. Comment below, that notification bell, and share with family and friends, and subscribe to my channel as well. So we now see most deaths are experienced by economically active individuals, resulting in many AIDS orphans who in many cases depend on the state for care and financial support. Like I just said now, it is estimated that there are 1.2 million orphans in South Africa. That is staggeringly high. And that's the purpose of this reviewing information, so that we find evidence to support some of the proposition we made earlier, that capitalism is the cause of the cost of living. Cost of living is an income issue, the poverty problem. It's evident that there is poverty among the many of the world, caused by capitalism, caused by the closure of public sector to provide public services, caused by the capitalistic mood of privatization, as we have seen, as we continue to see. The link between HIV, a virus spread primarily by sexual contact, and AIDS was long denied by President Thabo Mbeki and his health minister Manto Shabalala Simang, who insisted that the many deaths in the country are caused by malnutrition and hence poverty and not HIV. There may be a point there as well, because why is it the case that only 0.3% of white South Africans died from HIV and AIDS in South Africa? The rest are actually black, because of poverty among the black people, because of wealth riches among the white people. Simple as that. And also the life expectancy among white people is 71%, and only 30s, 48% among black people, and on the other side, all the wealth were hoarded under capitalism by the white minority. And the math is quite simple. In 2007, in response to national pressure, the government made efforts to fight hate. In 2007, after 2009 general election, President Jacob Zuma appointed Aaron Motsoaledi as the health minister and committed his government to increasing funding for and widening the scope of HIV treatment. And by 2015, South Africa had made significant progress with the widespread availability of antiretroviral drugs, resulting in an increase in life expectancy from 52.1% years to 62.5%, from 52.5 years to 62.5 years. So look at urbanization on one online database lists South Africa having more than 12,600 cities and towns. The following are the largest cities and towns in South Africa. The largest cities and towns in South Africa in 2016, a community survey. I can't really see this material very well, but the Johannesburg, Cape Town, Durban, Pretoria, Gebera, Vereeniging, Soshanguve, East London, not East London in the UK, but East London in South Africa. Bloemfontein, Pietermaritzburg, Pietermaritzburg. Some of these names are actually foreign, most of them are foreign, European names from Europe, and that is the history of South Africa, which is impacting its contemporary environment. Let's look at the government of South Africa, politics of South Africa, and the law of South Africa. And also let us look at the incidents of LGBT rights in South Africa and human rights in South Africa. Union building in Pretoria, seat of the executive, houses of parliament in Cape Town, seat of the legislature, constitutional court in Johannesburg. So you have the government, the court, and the executive. South Africa is a parliamentary republic, but unlike most South republics, the president is both head of state and the head of government and depends on his tenure or on the confidence of parliament. The executive, legislature, and judiciary are all subject to the supremacy of the Constitution of South Africa, and the superior courts have the power to strike down executive actions and acts of parliament if they are unconstitutional. So, South Africa operates at a more fundamental way the rule of law, which actually given the rule of law with the legal instrumentation institution, given such power as to kind of like control even the government, which is very rare in a country like Britain or America, more so in Britain. The executive, legislative, and judiciary are all subject to the supremacy of the Constitution of South Africa, and the superior. In the UK, actually, the Parliament is sovereign, so there's a supremacy of the Parliament as opposed to the Constitution. In South Africa, it's the Constitution, and the superior court have the power to strike down executive actions and acts of Parliament if they are constitutional. No institution in Britain is more superior, more powerful than Parliament in constitutional terms. The National Assembly, the lower house of parliament, consists of 400 members and is elected every 5 years by a system of party list proportional representation. The National Council of Provinces, the upper house, consists of 19 members, with each of the 19 provincial legislatures electing 10 members. After each parliamentary election, the National Assembly elects one of its members as president, and the president serves a term of office the same as that of the Assembly, normally 5 years. It's important to look at the powers of South Africa and the institution that the president may serve more than 2 terms in office. So presidential term limit is there and it's respected, which is a good idea. The president appoints a deputy president and ministers, each representing the department who form the cabinet. The National Assembly may move the president and the cabinet by a motion of no confidence. In the most recent election held on 8th May 2019, the ANC won 58% of the vote and 230 seats, while the main opposition, Democratic Alliance, won 21% of the vote and 84 seats. The Economic Freedom Fighters, founded by Julius Malema, former president of the ANC Youth League, who was also later expelled from the ANC, won 11% of the vote and 44 seats. The ANC has been a governing political party in South Africa since the end of apartheid, because ANC was the main political party fighting apartheid, mainly black orientated, and where there is true electoral process and semblance of democracy, black people will always rule South Africa, and that is why a black orientated party like ANC dominated political scene in South Africa. And it is important to look at the power structure of the country to know where decisions are made, especially when the cost of living crisis. You know where, if you go to South Africa, who to ask. As parliament, you ask people in court control of the law of the land. Why are you privatizing the public sector? That's a question you should ask your MP and ask them to lobby Parliament and in the UK or other institutions in other parts of the world. Let them lobby them to reverse this policy to reinstate the public sector by public service, to get rid of poverty and to automatically get rid of the factors such as the cost of living crisis. South Africa has no legally defined capital city. The fourth chapter of the Constitution states the seat of Parliament is Cape Town, but an Act of Parliament enacted in accordance with Section 76, subsection 1 and 5 may determine that the seat of Parliament is Edinburgh. The country's 3 branches of government are spread over different cities. Cape Town is the seat of Parliament, is the legislative capital. Pretoria is the seat of the president and cabinet, is the administrative capital, and Bloemfontein is the seat of the Supreme Court of Appeal and has traditionally been regarded as the judicial capital, although the highest court, Constitutional Court of South Africa, has been based in Johannesburg since 1994. That was 1994, in which apartheid as the rule of oppression, of extremism, and most foreign embassies are located in Pretoria. It's actually, if you're a tourist in South Africa, if you're interested in where power lies, these are cities you can visit, but also if you want to confront any of the authorities why there's a bad practice involving capitalism, these are people you should really ask or write to or investigate to try and figure out why they are behaving like that. But like I said in the other videos, and in this one I'm repeating, South Africa as a country alone cannot reverse the economic policy because of globalization. What happened in Africa and the rest of the continents of the world, Asia, Europe, and America, are reversible by one continent or country, that means continents like Africa and the rest of the continent should come as a coalition to agree together as a global entity, a power entity, as global power entities, to agree to reverse the incident of capitalism with the closure of the public sector to provide public service. And I've been consistent in pointing this out in terms of development, but in terms of culture, we need to learn to value humanity, whether we are rich or poor. Since 2004, South Africa has had many thousands of popular protests, some violent, making it, according to one academic, the most protest-rich country in the world. There have been numerous incidents of political repression as well as threats of future recession, repression in violation of the constitution, leading some analysts in civil society organizations to conclude that there is or could be a new climate of political repression. In 2008, South Africa placed 5th out of 48 sub-Saharan countries, African countries, on the Ibrahim Index of African Governance. South Africa has scored well in the category of the rule of law, transparency and corruption, and participation and human rights, but scored low in safety and security. In 2006, South Africa became the first and only African country to legalize same-sex marriage. The Constitution of South Africa is the supreme rule of law in the country. The primary source of South African law are Roman Dutch mercantile law and personal law and English common law as imports of Dutch settlement and British colonialism. The first European-based law in South Africa was brought by the Dutch East India Company and is called Roman Dutch law. It was imported before the codification of European law into the Napoleonic Code and is comparable in many ways to Scots law. This was followed in the 19th century in English law, both common and statutory. After unification in 1910, South Africa had its own parliament which passed laws specific for South Africa, building on those previously passed for the individual member colonies. The judicial system consists of the magistrate court, which hear lesser criminal cases and similar civil cases, the High Court, which was a division that served as the court of general jurisdiction for specific area, the Supreme Court of Appeal, and the Constitutional Court, which is the highest court. We are meeting next time to discuss foreign relations, and going forward we will be reviewing this material in relation to South Africa, linking them in their different contexts to illustrate the logic, the origin, and also the potential solution to the cost of living crisis, which is a symptom of society in terms of progress and culture. In terms of progress, capitalism being an extreme a form of economic system supported by extreme form of privatizing the economy, including the privatization of the public sector, and we provide public services, which now is closing down, creating more poverty for the many and concentrating more wealth in the hands of the few, thereby creating symptomatic problems such as the cost of living crisis. Thank you for watching this video. Meet you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't subscribed. Share the video with friends and click the notification bell and click like. Thank you. I'll see you in the next one. Thank you. Bye bye.